Alright. Um, this is like take 3 or 4 of this, I'm pretty sure. So, welcome to Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds. I'm going to try to do this as quick as I can, so I'm going to try to keep it on the highest speed possible. This is just a game I highly recommend. This goes for about, I think, $9.99 on Steam right now. And it goes on sale quite often during Christmas sales. I think it goes on sale this autumn sale. And then it also is on sale during May the 4th because it's a Star Wars game, obviously. This game is basically Age of Empires 2 with a few distinct changes. I'm going to move back around here. So a few distinct changes. It's a Star Wars game. So Age of Empires 2, medieval Europe, and this is obviously Star Wars. Every faction has their own different skin. This is the Wookiees with their little Wookiee workers, and they built stuff out of mostly wood and some sheet metal. The Geonosians, which are just little Geonosians, and Rebel Alliance with their R2-D2s, and the Gungans with their little tadpole people. A few other changes here is like there are nerfs in place of sheep, and there's some other wild animals like these things in place of deer, and then there's another one up here like this in place of a wolf, and so on. A few other changes too. A new feature of this game is that each building requires power. Not requires power, but if you give a building power, it helps it go a lot faster. So these little glowy things are power cores. Each faction, here's one from them, here's one from the Gungans. It helps power their buildings. So you can see how this building has this red flashing little globe here. That means that building does not have power. It also says it in this screen here when that's red. This screen has it as green, so if that one does have power, and you can see the little globes that are green on these buildings here because they're being powered by this thing. You can see the circle of power that it gives for that, and you can make little droids that make power individually. I do that later on, so we'll see that as well. In this case, another change about this from Age of Empires 2 is that your regular troops, these are basically your swordsmen. Your recruits, your men-at-arms, they are your basic foot soldiers, and they are ranged soldiers instead of being melee soldiers. It's a little bit of a different feel, and each faction has their own individual one. The Confederacy has the super battle droids, the Wookiees have Wookiees, the Gungans have those Gungan, like the blue things that they throw. The Rebellion has the rebel troops, and each faction has their own kind of workers too. Like I said earlier, I have the tiny Wookiees, the Geonosians are wingless Geonosians, the Gungans are tadpole people. That's really the best way to explain these guys, I think. And then the Rebel Alliance is R2-D2s. Each kind of like faction has their own way of building things, so I do appreciate how they kind of show that in this as well. Otherwise, it's very similar. You got your houses, you got your barracks pretty much, you got your, actually that's new. So the animal nursery is where you can stick your sheep in, your sheep equivalent nerfs, and then they can infinitely produce food for you. I don't remember if I was in Age of Empires 2, so it might have been. A few other things that they changed out. Rename a few things, so the blacksmith is now the war center. Your cavalry are now mech units. And the market is now the spaceport. There's another thing here soon that when it's made, yeah, here. The Jedi Temple, or the Sith Temple, replace the monasteries or churches from Age of Empires 2. Oh, there's a little power droid. You can see it has a smaller power circle compared to the bigger one. So the Jedi Temple replaces the monastery, and that also means that you can. Here's my Jedi Temple. They build one up here eventually. I'll show you that whenever it comes up. But this is your monastery, and you train Jedi as your monks, and the Jedi can go pick up the holocrons, which act as your relics. Your 4 resources are still here. They're pretty much the same. You get carbon from wood, food from farms and the bushes and animals. You get Nova crystals, and you get ore. Oh yeah, there's the Sith Temple. It does look the same across factions. But a few other things that change, since this is a Star Wars game, here you go. Even just how like people build buildings are different. So in this case, the Gungans literally grove their buildings out of marshland, even if it wasn't there before. There's their Jedi temple, which looks exactly the same as mine. There's not much here, just some things are being renamed. There is a totally different thing. Oh, here we go. The AI is on the easiest, so this is pretty much the biggest attack that they send out. This AI is also on the easy difficulty, but they're not sending it out yet. Oh yeah, so over here we have aircraft. Aircraft work very differently in this. We'll see that in a little bit, and I suffer quite a lot from that, not being ready for them. But the aircraft can attack your land and ocean troops, but ground troops can't attack them directly. As you can see here, my regular troopers can't attack these Geonosian warriors coming from this guy's fortress. So that's why I'm making these anti-air units, which are another addition to it, the game. And they're the ones that can actually shoot at these guys. I mean, air troops are kind of flimsy on their own. These guys actually have a lot of health compared to other air troopers. But these guys do a lot of damage anyways. So these fighters here, they have 25 health. And since the anti-air do like 24 damage, like we just saw, these guys would die in 2 hits. So 2 anti-air can take care of them. Another mechanic that's in this, that's new, along with a Star Wars skin, is shield generators. And so shield generators give you this little secondary bar of health, and sometimes they'll take away from that bar of health instead of the trooper's bar of health. It goes on to buildings, it goes on to your troops, and as soon as they enter the shield, they have to slowly generate their shield up. And when they leave the shield, it all falls away really quickly, and it protects them for just a little bit longer. And here's another power droid powering the shield generator. They're cheaper to build than the actual like power cores, so that's why I use them a lot in this one. So in order to counter this guy's air force, I've started to create my own kind of air force, which doesn't work out in the end, but for right now it did work out. Oh yeah, and another difference here, just renaming things, but ages are now tech levels. This is no longer dark, whatever, castle, imperial, it's just 1, 2, 3, and 4. Really simple. And now I attack them. They bring out their air force, I bring out mine. Leave the air force on the side, and oh no! The Rebel Alliance is attacking the Gungans at the same time. So this is a case of being seriously not prepared, because neither me nor the Gungans have many anti-air defenses. The best anti-air I have is my air force, which quickly gets annihilated by all of the enemy ships. Like, I'm sure if I actually controlled all my guys a little bit better there, I might have actually dealt more damage to the rebels, but I didn't. In this case, the rebels decided to come over here and start to attack us. And meanwhile here, I'm just killing the villagers until they give up. Yellow's pretty much out of the game at this point. Over here, green is enjoying their time raiding on red. And you can even look at the scores and see that red and yellow have the lowest ones. And so it's mainly me and green duking it out in the end here. I didn't ever realize how low we got on wood there. Alright, so anti-air defenses. Fortresses have them, and they can shoot out missiles. You have to make little anti-air troopers, or you can build your own air force to counter their air force. The spaceships themselves are rather flimsy and don't have a lot of attack. They have a really close range as well. So I think it's a pretty well balanced thing between the two. In some ways, I actually don't even want to ever go for the Air Force unless I absolutely have to, just to transport troops or something. Or if you can outrace the enemy to where they have no air defenses, like what happened here with the Gungans, you can have your Air Force sitting there just picking them off. So what the Gungans should do is probably stop mining the ore and build some anti-air towers, which is something I also never do. Anyways, speeding it up just to get through some stuff. Not too interesting right now. My whole army just trying to destroy a fortress and just fails miserably in just a second. Because their Air Force comes, and I can't shoot at their Air Force because they have no anti-air. So, I really should have just pulled these guys back and like stuck them in the fortress where they could fire at the aircraft, but oh well. I mean, they lived long enough to do that. So I just stuck them into the enemy base and see how much damage they could do. And then the enemy sent some of their Air Force over to me, and my few fighters immediately died. So that's why I had these guys. So the air versus these guys is extremely different. These guys have a whole lot of damage packed onto their slow-moving projectiles, and they have range that far surpasses any fighter craft, and they have a good amount of health. So in a way, I almost would never see why you'd use a fighter compared to these guys, except for if your enemy has none of these guys. You could come in with a fleet of bombers, destroy their troop centers, and then they couldn't even make them. So this is the last little push I have to do here. I don't think I have much more to say about this, but I would highly recommend this game. And again, it's only, I think, $15 at most on Steam. I know I was saying 10 earlier, but it goes on sale quite often too, just because it's an old game. So they're trying to get every sale of it if possible. So even here now, there's not much for them to do. They can send in their aircraft, but these guys have such long range that they can stand from behind my guys and shoot it down. And these guys have pretty good range now as well, so that way they can hit everything. And I think that's it. It's just cleaning up the last few troops, and as soon as I destroy this, I think they give up. Yeah, well, I'd highly recommend this game, Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds. It's on Steam. I don't know for how much for. I might put that in the description. But I highly recommend getting it if it ever goes on sale, or getting it for someone who likes Age of Empires and Star Wars. It is Star Wars with, or Age of Empires with a Star Wars skin. And a few changes in gameplay, like the power that we talked about, Air Force, a few things are renamed, shields. But besides that, it's a really good game. You should get it. There we go. I guess I just feel like I don't see many people playing this game. I'd highly recommend it though. It's an old game. A game from my childhood that I used to play. So I've always enjoyed Star Wars, and I've enjoyed Age of Empires and how that gameplay works. And yeah, that's why I'm playing it. So, hope it was informative. If you want to get it, go ahead. I'll leave a link to the Steam page in the description below. And enjoy it.